Ready? Here it goes. We are live in 3, 2, 1. Here we are. Okay. Rosewater Kinetics Fitness Hour. Take 1, episode 1. Here we go.
From the Time Spent Poorly podcast studio in the Lewiston-Clarkson Valley in Idaho, you're listening to the Rosewater Kinetics Fitness Hour with weekly discussions on nutrition.
Mainly consist on stuff like sandwiches and tins of tuna, chicken, something like that, cheese praties from a chain store.
Training.
Just like a bunch of little girls. Again.
Also including phone interviews.
Hello, everyone. I'm from your telephone company.
Poignant conversation. And international liaisons.
Oh my.
And here are your hosts, Mike and Nathan.
And here we are. This is something we've been working on for a while now, and it's finally here. Welcome to the Rosewater Kinetics Fitness Hour, brought to you by the Time Spent Poorly Podcast Network. My name's Nathan. This is Mike, and we are your hosts for a fitness discussion, a nutrition discussion, and a whatever.
General well-being discussion.
Hello, discussion.
Everybody.
How is everybody doing out there in the world of podcasting and YouTube? Welcome to the first show. We are excited to bring this to you. We've been talking about doing this for a while now because we just get a lot of interaction on the Rosewater Kinetics Facebook page. You can reach that by going to Rosewater Kinetics. We can reach that by going to facebook.com/Rosewater Kinetics. So, we get a lot of interaction there on the Facebook page from Rosewater Kinetics, and people are asking us about fitness, and it seemed like there was a need for something, and a void that was needing to be filled. So we thought, hey, we make these things, and we have a general interest in our own well-beings as well. And I think this will be a great opportunity and platform for people to call in, ask questions. We have a Skype number that you guys can call us. We have an email address. You can get a hold of us at rkfitnesshour@gmail.com. Again, that's a little bit of a mouthful. rkfitnesshour@gmail.com. Give us a little line there, and we can answer questions and include you as part of the show. Mike, how you doing? How you feeling today?
I'm doing fine and happy to be here. It's just like Nathan was saying, and we thought it was time to provide a platform for everyone. This is not just for us to sit on here and run our gaps, though it'll probably be hard for you to get a word in edgewise because
Right.
we just tend to run our gaps. But we want a lot of interaction. We want to get some guests on to give their feedback, provide some information. Everybody's always asking, where do we find this? What do we do about that? What do you do?
Yeah.
This type of thing. And today we have a very special guest, Melody Schoenfield.
Yeah, I hope we're pronouncing that correctly.
I hope that's right.
We'll give her a call here in just a few minutes, but since it's our very first show, Mike, maybe we should give a little bit of back information about ourselves just for a few minutes. First of all, what year was it when you started woodworking? When did your woodworking venture start?
I took a love of that in the 7th grade.
Oh, nice.
I've been doing this my entire life, but for years and years it was a hobby.
Yeah.
I just slightly educated myself and got into building furniture and sculpting and the whole aspect of creating things.
Yeah.
It made me feel good to create things.
And you're mostly after creating beautiful furniture and furniture grade.
Well,
furniture.
anybody can hit a rock with a sledgehammer
Sure.
and arrange it in a square and go, see what I made?
Look what I did!
Yeah, well, or you can spend a little time and purchase some tools and
put a little spin
educate
polish
yourself
on it.
on how it's done correctly and make something beautiful that'll last. So
Now,
that was my mission.
The Indian swinging clubs in particular, how did that happen for you in like a 2-minute version of that story of how that all came about?
Reader's Digest version. I used to drive a truck coast to coast, and there's no other way to say it, man. You get hungry for money, and you spend more time in that truck than you probably should.
Yeah.
And as a natural course of events, you literally decompose because you don't do anything. You're
Because you
living
just sit
off
there and do this.
Well, yeah, the days of loading and unloading your own freight had come and gone.
Yeah.
Anymore, you go and you lay down on your bed and you wait for them to do the work, and then you drive it to the next place.
Gotcha.
You stop, you eat hamburgers and burritos, all the things that you shouldn't be doing.
Stuff your face with stuff that isn't good for you.
And I won't get into too much detail, but as a course of that, I was injured, and they didn't think I was going to make it. I was on my back for almost 2 years.
It was a brainstem injury of sorts, correct?
Which, yes,
Yeah.
and internal injuries, soft tissue injuries, and I think I was just too damn stubborn to give into it, and I got back up and finally got moving around again, and I got in touch with a friend who was an avid club swinger. Mm-hmm. We're talking Indian clubs.
Yeah, from Hawaii, correct?
Yes, correct. And he gave me the synopsis of it. He says, well, you build wood things. Can you make these? And I said, well, I
don't see why not.
Yeah, let me give it a go. And once I did, I got curious, and I started reading into it and swinging them around and just went, wow. I can't bully because of the brain injury. Mm-hmm. I could, if you're that curious, ask me on the email or something. I'd be happy to explain it to you in depth. But my perception, my vision was screwed up. I was, you remember when you met me? It was hard for me to carry on it.
He was at his sickest when I met him 4 years ago. So
movement was difficult for me. Feeling quite good these days. Mm-hmm. I literally credit this form of exercise with bringing me back to a normal life. So we basically got together on this. You started doing it, and we said, we need to help get these things out to other people, man, because as I tell people, this is one of the easiest constant exercises you can do, because you can't do a fad diet. You can't go, well, I'm going to join the gym for 3 months, because that 3 months is going to come and go, and you're going to you're going to fall back into the same pit you crawled out of.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you have to come up with something reasonable that you can do long term, that you can literally make a part of your life.
Yes, it's not going and finding what the latest crazy fad diet is. No. It's about changing what's in your cabinet, changing what you do as a routine, changing what time you wake up in the morning, change what time you go to bed. It's literally an entire lifestyle change for it to be successful. Anybody can go and crash diet for a couple of months, and they'll lose some weight, and they'll look great for a couple of months, and then it'll all come right back.
And please understand me. I'm not saying don't go to the gym.
Right.
I'm not saying don't go run or jog. Mm-hmm. I'm saying add this as a routine, a daily routine, which you do in addition to
whatever. Yeah, exactly.
Because this will bridge gaps.
Yes, absolutely.
It'll make it so you move easier.
Yes. Connective tissues will feel better.
So you don't grunt when you get off of a chair.
You ever notice everybody goes to get up, they're like,
arch it down. Yeah.
So
I'll let that go and just say that's kind of how I arrived here.
Yeah.
And then I found out that there were people that want these things.
Yeah.
There's a wonderful community of fitness people out there that
our Facebook page is becoming a really enjoyable place to go and hang out. Literally, just while you're doing while you're on your lunch break, just flip through there and go check out Rosewater Kinetics on Facebook.
I've literally made friends, if you can do that, on there that I got to say, I don't know that I've met any, maybe there was one, that I didn't like.
Yeah,
as a human being.
Maybe there was one.
You know what I'm talking about.
Right.
There's always one.
There's always the one that spoils a bunch. So I was hanging out at his shop, just to bring you up to speed of why I started doing it. I took woodworking for 1 semester in high school, enjoyed it, and then didn't have any way of getting a hold of tools to continue doing it. So I stopped doing it, but I really did enjoy it. And then we were just BSing out in his shop one evening, and got to drinking some beers, and he showed me the wood lathe. I'm like, that was my favorite part of wood shop in high school. And I started tooling on the thing, and next thing I knew, I made my own pair, and then I made another pair, and then I made myself a long big boy, a big heavy one, and then I was like, hey Mike, you mind making me your apprentice? And we entered this whole apprenticeship thing, and I would like to also say, right for the record right now, maybe we should do like a weekly challenge of saying where we started weight-wise and where we are today. I started January 22nd. I weighed in at 248 pounds, and I just weighed myself yesterday. Right now I am down to 229.
Wow, good for you.
So, and that's doing this. That's a big time roller coaster of really focusing on it and then falling off the wagon for 2 or 3 weeks and then really focusing on it again. So I've had a rough 6 months, but 6 months into it, I've changed several things that I do for my food intake, and I've changed a lot of my habits, and I've just made club swinging one of my habits, and I feel a lot better at it. Where'd you start out at? Do you know?
Where I started, I've been up and down depending on my health circumstances. I initially, it's been a few years ago, started at 300 pounds.
Oh, wow. What are you down to today?
I'm at 238.
Nice, dude. Nice.
Right now, and intend on
keep on going.
Keeping it going.
Yep.
I'm not trying to impress anybody. I just feel good.
Yeah, I just like to. I just think that would be interesting to throw out there as like a baseline. This is the first show, and then 6 months from now we can come back and watch the show and go, oh man, we were at those weights then. Look how we are now. And another interesting thing is that fat is lighter than muscle, so we actually might end up kind of starting to do a little bit of as we get stronger, we might actually start getting heavier again, but it will be because we've got more muscle on our bones.
So if we go swimming and we got a little less percentage of fat in our body, do
we're gonna
sink
a little less
easier,
buoyant. Yes, we're gonna be a little more like rocks these days.
Where we live is the gorgeous Lewiston Clarkson Valley here on the border of Washington State and Idaho.
River right there, bro.
Yeah, Snake River.
Yeah.
White sand beaches, and we do a lot of swimming and hanging out there.
And floats. We like to go on floats.
Yeah.
So I won't rely on my body fat to keep me afloat as much anymore. So
anyways, why don't we try to get our guest on board here?
That was a little bit about us, and we can we'll continue filling you in about who we are and what we do. But let's see if we can get this guest on the line here. Just bear with us for a moment. We're gonna get the Skype call rolling here, and hopefully we can make this connection quickly and make it a little less awkward of a transition. Hello, is this Melody?
Yes, it is.
Melody, you're talking to Robert and Nathan from the Rosewater Kinetics Fitness Hour. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
We're doing fantastic. We just wanted to take this opportunity to give you a quick call and have you do a little bit of self-promotion, if you will, and then just explaining who you are and what you do. So, Melody, what is it that you do in regards to fitness?
I do a lot of things. I'm a competitive powerlifter. I own a small personal training center called Flawless Fitness in Pasadena, California. And I also own a company called Evil Monkey Enterprises, and we make, I guess our most popular item is the maces that we make. We make water fillable and loadable maces, and we also make anything out of steel pretty much. So we make adjustable monkey bars and all kinds of, pull-up bars and things like that.
I'd like to just take a second to say that mace is amazing. I have one of them. She sent it to me, and my neck hasn't been the same since I began.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's an incredible tool. You're in Pasadena?
I am, yeah, Pasadena, California.
Okay, what's the weather like down there?
What's that?
What's the weather like down there? Is it as hot there as it is here?
Not right now. Last weekend it was like 100 degrees, but now it's cooled off a bit, so that's pretty nice.
That's fantastic.
Fantastic. So you are a trainer, that's correct?
I am. I've been a trainer for about over 20 years now.
Okay, I got a question for you.
Sure.
We all have intentions of making ourselves better, feel better. We all want to do it. What do you find is the biggest hurdle motivationally to get people to commit and follow up on some type of regimen that's going to be good for them?
Well, I guess that's kind of why I have a job, because if somebody's contacted me and made an appointment with me, they've already made some sort of a commitment to themselves that they want to do something. And it may be that they want me to hold them accountable for coming in, and that's the only work that they get done is when they come and see me. Or it may be that I just kind of give them something that they wouldn't have done on their own, things like that. So it just depends. Or it may be somebody who is already an advanced lifter and wants to get better. So it just depends on the person. The average person uses me for accountability. So I'm kind of that person. That's kind of my job, is to make sure that they come in and, they're basically like, well, if I'm paying you, I'm going to come in.
Do you call them on the phone, Melody?
What's that?
Do you call them on the phone and get on them if they don't show?
I don't. It's, I don't feel like I should have to do that. If they don't show up for their appointment, I usually send them a message and say, hey, are you coming in? And if they don't come in, they have to pay for the session anyways.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
That's always a motivating factor, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but that's really how it is. That's how it is in most doctors' offices. It's how it is in the hairdressers' offices, things like that.
Yes, absolutely.
If you don't come to your appointment, that's time that they could have filled with something else.
Right.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Exactly. So you do have to, I think, hold that person accountable for valuing your time. They took your time. And so whether or not they show up, they need to compensate you for taking your time.
It is for their betterment, after all.
Exactly.
Now, one of the biggest things that I find a big struggle for myself, and it's throughout the actual work week, I do all right, but once I get onto the weekend, I have a really hard time with it. But as far as a person's diet goes, you as a trainer, for instance, what does a daily food intake look like for you to maintain a power lifter status? That has to be something that requires tons of protein and things like that. What does your food look like on a regular basis?
It's funny you should say that, because I'm actually a vegan. I've been vegan for over 14 years, almost 15 years now. Mm-hmm. So definitely not what people expect when they hear power lifter.
Right.
Yeah, but I also own 3 California state records. I think I still own them. But anyway, I had 3 California state records in my name, at least last time I checked.
Awesome.
For my weight class, and so that's pretty good. And I'm also I'm also vegan. So people get confused by that, because they assume that if you're vegan, you cannot be healthy, you cannot be strong, and all these other things.
Right.
My diet is very high in protein. I get a lot of protein. I have protein shakes, and then I also eat a lot of legumes. I eat a lot of tofu, and a lot of people think soy is not good for you, and that's absolutely not true as well. That's been disproven by research over and over again. I eat all the things that people generally, personal trainers like to give people a hard time for eating. I eat gluten. Gluten has an evil reputation for not really very good reasons. Mm-hmm. If you are gluten intolerant, then you shouldn't eat gluten. But if you're a normal digestive system, you should be fine. And it's actually, for vegans, it's a very high source of protein. There's something called seitan, which is made from wheat gluten. It's a meat substitute, and it's not a complete protein, but it is a very rich source of protein. Your body completes protein for you by the end of the day, as long as you get all of your amino acids in. So, I eat a pretty varied diet, and so that's not a problem. Protein's never been a problem. I eat a huge amount of vegetables. My diet is probably 80 to 90% vegetables. And for the most part, the rest of my diet is beans and some whole grains or sprouted grains, and I like, I eat a fair amount of healthy fats. I eat a lot of popcorn. I eat popcorn every day because I like popcorn very much.
Nice.
And so I have a pretty varied diet. But my biggest rule of thumb is greens at every meal. Try and have greens at every meal.
See, I completely agree with that. In fact, I've converted my backyard into raised bed gardens, and I grow leafy greens like crazy back there.
I hope to build it too.
I'm a juicer in the morning, and I eat the leafy greens like crazy too. I try to keep my diet probably around 80 to 90% vegetable, but I love that barbecued chicken breast and that kind of thing that I just can't seem to get past.
Right.
See, because I was curious about being a power lifter, and I knew you were a vegan because I see some of your posts on the social media. I've been watching you, and
creepily.
Yeah. I was curious about the whole protein aspect of that. So you supplement protein via.
I do. Yeah, I supplement protein. I usually take something called Raw Fit every day. I like it because of the taste. Most of the vegan protein powders I don't like the taste of. That one happens to have a taste I like. It's like a coffee flavor, so I like that one, and the ingredients are great. So I take that pretty much every day, and I supplement turmeric. I supplement some fenugreek most of the time. I supplement creatine. Most vegans don't get creatine in their diet, so that is something that's very important to supplement. And I supplement an omega-3 fatty acid because most people have a skewed intake of that. And I think that my intake's pretty good, but I supplement omega-3s just to make sure.
Now, could you quickly explain to me what creatine is?
Yeah, creatine is essentially something that your muscles use for rebuilding themselves. It's the kind of creatine that your body uses supplements with best is creatine monohydrate. It's got cognitive benefits as well, so it's something that I would recommend for even, your great-grandma should take creatine as a general rule, really good for cognitive benefits. And it's generally found in animal products, which is why vegans don't tend to get it in their diet.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, but it is something that, I'm trying to think of an easy way to explain what it is, but it's basically a chemical that you mostly find in the muscles, and there's a lot of it's actually one of the most studied supplements out there, and it does not have side effects, and it's something that is actually allowed in the Olympics and things like that. But it improves performance and it helps recovery for muscles. That's essentially what it is.
And it's naturally occurring, I guess. That's why they don't mind you.
Exactly. It's naturally occurring in muscle tissue.
I see. Yeah, okay. I was curious because I've seen it written about in places, and I'm going, what in the world is creatine, man?
Yeah, you hear about
Nobody's ever educated me on that.
You hear about it with the big bodybuilders and things like that.
I'm having a hard time understanding what you're saying. Can you repeat that?
Oh, we were just commenting on how where I've personally come across creatine powder. My friend, he always takes it. He's like 5'11", and he's like 165 pounds soaking wet. So every time I ever hear creatine powder is because he's a little bit of a smaller dude and he's trying to bulk up a little bit. So that's the only interaction that I've ever had with the creatine powder. I don't take it myself, but it sounds like it's something that I might need to look into doing as well, possibly.
Yeah, it's something that I think just about everyone can benefit from. It's got a nitrogen origin. And basically what it does is it increases your ability to produce ATP, which is something your body uses to create energy. I'm trying to keep this like as unscientific and big worded as possible, but basically it's got a nitrogen, origin, and that's one of the reasons why people like nitrogen so much as a supplement. Is one of the things it does is help form creatine in some cases, and then also it helps with your energy systems, and yeah, I think I'm getting a little scientific, and my brain's not working that well right now either. So
that's all right. A little bit of science dropped on us is no problem at all. We can always break it down later if necessary, or if somebody doesn't understand what it is, they can always go look that up as well. So,
well, you had me at cognitive benefits.
Yeah, cognitive benefits is always great because I sit at a computer all day for my real job, and by the time I'm finished with my day, my brain is mush. So anything that I can help that out, that's helpful. So being that that's one of my main my real job is a sedentary job, just sitting there all day. One of the things that's hardest to do is to not eat to entertain myself, basically, and that's a big thing that I know a lot of people in my position kind of has a big fight with. Basically, it's like their worst enemy. What's something that you can do to try and help people that sit a lot for their jobs? Is there anything that you can recommend for people doing that sit for a living?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I recommend to people is set a little timer on your computer to go off every 20 minutes, and at the very least, stand up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, at the very least, if all you can do is stand up for a second and shake out your body, do that. You know, at least that'll help mitigate some of the compressive forces from sitting all day. But, you know, the studies actually show that even if you get some exercise in the morning and you're sedentary all day long, the exercise is not going to really have life-prolonging benefits if you're sedentary. So you do need to remain active throughout the day as much as possible. So I would say, you know, walk to your coworkers' desks if you can. If you work from home, you have a little more freedom. You can get up, you know, and maybe take a 15-minute walk, you know, every couple hours.
Mm-hmm.
Something like use your lunchtime, you know, use half your lunchtime to move around, you know, take a walk through the building, something like that. And, you know, and make an appointment with yourself in the morning and in the evening to do something active. And if you have kids, do it with your kids, because kids are becoming more and more sedentary every year. Yeah, I mean, it's getting bad. They're taking PE out of schools. And so, you know, and a lot of people, and a lot of people think it's okay to not do things as a family now. I'm a big believer, if you have kids, make them go walk with you, or make them go play outside or something.
Or run from you, huh? That would be my approach.
Right. Well, that's kind of like the thing that I always thought was like, once you have a child, like you have built-in PE for the rest of your life until that child is like at least 13 or 14 or 15 or something like that. I thought that was a thing. But yeah, it seems more and more, the more we get focused into the palm of our hand, into our little devices, the more we all just kind of don't really do anything at all. So I think this is a great opportunity to keep on pushing that word out, to get people up off their buns and get moving. I think it's a really good idea to keep that going.
I raised 3 sons in the high country and in Idaho, and my approach was, you've got 10 minutes to think of something to do, or I'm going to think of something for you to do. And it was amazing. They always seem to find something to do. And it usually involved running around the canyon or something, which was great for them, you know.
Sure.
So, yeah.
And there's ways you can sneak it in throughout your day. You know, if there's stairs in your building, take stairs instead of the elevator. You know, if you're less than 7 stories up, you can take the stairs instead of the elevator.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
You know, if you have a parking lot, park further away. If there's an escalator, walk the escalator. It drives me nuts when people stand on the escalator and take up the whole thing and don't stand.
I never understood that. Like that, you're supposed to walk up that to get up there faster, not park yourself on it. I never ever understood that. Or people that park themselves on the moving sidewalk too. Yeah.
I don't have a problem with that. I'm afraid of elevators now. Quick story: I was in the hospital there, seeing somebody, and I jumped in the elevator to go down, and the power went off, and I learned something about myself that I will panic in a closed area.
Space. Yeah.
I didn't know that about myself.
I believe wasn't I with you on that?
I think you were waiting for me outside.
I believe I was there for that. I remember that. That was a very, very funny moment for me.
And the looks on everybody's faces when the door opened up and they were hearing my cries for help inside. They're going, "You're right there."
Yeah, he was probably the shade of a ghost. It was really funny. It was a fantastic day.
Well, Melody, I know you have things to do, so we won't keep you from your appointed rounds. I would like to tell you that we have a set of clubs in the works for you as we speak. I think you're going to really enjoy them. They're going to be gorgeous. I can't
wait. I'm so excited. I've never had meal clubs before, and I've wanted them for a long time, so I'm excited.
Yep, and they're going to be made of a figured maple, too, so they're going to be absolutely gorgeous to look at. I'll quiz you via.
It's so beautiful too. I'm so excited. Like, I've seen the pictures of your things, and it's like artwork. It's beautiful.
Well, thank you very much. We try to make them pretty.
Yeah, we try to make them to where people want to look at them for quite a while. Now, I'm quite interested in these maces that you make. Before you get out of here, just what's the Reader's Digest version of how those are made? How did you get started into that? Do you make them yourselves, or did you outsource the actual work? How does all of your mace work go down?
Yeah, take a moment to plug your operation.
Yeah, well, basically, my business has been a long time in the making. I've been wanting to do this for a very, very long time, and just didn't have the right person to work with. I don't know how to weld. I just know how to, I'm an idea person.
Sure.
And I happen to have met Dave, who's my welder, and he's actually my boyfriend, too. I met him a few years ago. We became best friends. And when I met him, I was like, okay, you need to be my welder, because Dave is actually an aerospace welder.
Ooh.
Dave makes parts for fighter jets. So there's welders, and then there's what Dave does. He's
Yeah,
a very
definitely.
high level. Yeah, he's precision. Yeah, very, very high level. He's amazing. And he's unbelievably creative. And when I met him, he didn't know what the hell I was talking about when I told him I was going out in the yard to sling a mace. So I sent him a video of it, and he was like, huh, I can make that. And that's when the whole thing was like, really? You will be my welder.
That's great.
And now he's coming up with all these ideas on how to improve the design. He improves the design every time he makes a new one. So actually, if you see the evolution of the maces that we made even just a year ago to the maces that we make now, they're completely different in the loading mechanism. We used to have a visible screw. Those screws no longer are visible. And we have two kinds now, one with a removable head. I think you got the removable head kind.
Yeah.
And one without the removable head, yeah.
I got a
And
chance
so
to hold
the
on to
removable
that
head,
thing.
yeah, it's pretty cool, because now, like, if you decide you want a 12-inch mace, we just have to send you a head.
Mhm.
You don't need a whole nother, which is pretty cool. And they're fillable with water, which I don't believe anybody else is doing right now. The water fillable, it's on the 6-inch mace, it doesn't make that much of a difference, but on the 8 and the 12, especially the 12, even if you just fill it halfway, the mace doesn't stop moving. So even if you stop the mace is still moving because of the water movement. So it's a whole different brand of stability. It's really cool.
Yeah, I can vouch for that. I've got the thing about 3/4 of the way filled up, and let me just say, I'm amazed that my neighbors don't call law enforcement on me, because I'm out there at 4 a.m. in the backyard just grunting away. 'Cause I love this thing. This thing's amazing.
If they're swinging a mace, I wouldn't call law enforcement on me.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a really good point.
Yeah, well, I mean, I know people, because it's so quiet where we live. And,
Yeah, it is really quiet
And through the
out
whole
there.
town, I'm sure. I live in a town where there's maybe 250 people, and
Down in the canyon.
Yeah, I'm sure they hear, ugh, in the morning, and what in the world is that?
They probably think you just have a hard time waking up.
Yeah. Boy, that Mike's really having issues recently.
What the hell's he up to now?
Okay, so that is it's always cool to join an idea person with an action person. So now that you have your idea up and off the ground, where can people go to start getting? If someone's wanting a mace, which I do, I want to know how to get myself one of these. Where can a person go to get one of these?
Well, they can just contact me directly, but we have a website called Evil Monkey Enterprises, and so it's monkey is spelled M-U-N-K-Y.
Okay.
Spell it. So it's evilmonkeyeent.com. So that's evilmonkeyent.com, and the ENT is just the first part of Enterprises. So that's our website. We also have a Facebook page. If you look up Evil Monkey, M-U-N-K-Y, we are on Facebook. Or you can just contact me directly. I'm very easy to find. You can find me, Melody, at evilmonkeyent.com, or you can, you can find me on Facebook. I kind of live on Facebook.
So do we. So we will definitely put a link to that within this website, or within this posting on the website, rather. And we'll make sure that you get a nice little plug right there as well. So thank you so much for your time, and thank you for talking a little bit about fitness and dieting and or not dieting, but diets and nutrition with us. And we really appreciate your time. That is Melody from Evil Monkey Enterprises, everybody. Go to evilmonkeyent.com if you want a mace for yourself.
Yep, it's been good to I finally hear your voice. I've spoken with her via email.
Yeah, it's always weird.
Several times. She's a dog person too.
Yeah,
so.
I love dogs too. I got two dogs myself too. So
it's good to know what you sound like.
Yeah, it's always weird to actually hear somebody after you've talked to them for a while via the interwebs.
So yeah, please don't be a stranger. We're going to be doing this every week now, it seems, and I will be in contact with you anyways. So
And
Very, very cool. Thank you.
yeah, and Melody, definitely we'll check back in with you in a couple of months here, and anytime you have any new innovations with your maces or anything you want to share with us about being a power lifter that's a vegan, anytime you want to check in with us, just hit us up on the Facebooks, and we'll do this again anytime you'd like. Alrighty?
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome, and thank you for your time, and we will talk to you again pretty soon.
Bye, Melody.
Bye, Melody.
Bye.
So that is that's basically what we're going to be doing around here. We're just going to be chit-chatting about things.
She's pretty amazing, huh?
Yeah.
Just full of useful information.
I think so, and I think that's really cool when people are idea people. They're like, I have this idea. Because there's people, I've grown up with people they're like, oh, I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that and I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that, and then the next time you bump into them, they're like, I'm gonna go do this, I'm gonna do that, and I'm gonna go do this, and you ask them about one of the 4 things that they were talking about last time. You're like, well, what about XYZ you were talking about last time? Oh, that didn't work out, but this is the best, and then you bump into them again. And what about what XYZ? Oh, that didn't work out, but this is what's going. And they're like, all right, dude.
And you bump into them when they're 50 and they're still
doing the same thing, but that's the difference, though, because it seems like Melody is the type that is like, I have an idea, I am going to keep on having this idea until I'm going to evolve the idea as far as it needs to go in my brain, and then execute on it as soon as I get that one missing piece. And
that sounds like a winning combination.
I think that's really fantastic because
well, I can vouch for that, Mace, because like I said, it's become one of my. I literally look forward to going out and swinging that thing around in the morning, because it's an innovative thing, because there are so many different exercises you can do with it.
Yeah, I've swung it one time and I already want one.
Yeah, like I said, I go out and just swing it like crazy, and after about 10 minutes, I'm grunting and groaning, and
yeah.
I know there's neighbors looking through the blinds, wondering what in the world's going on, and I ignore it and just keep on going,
Harold, he's out in his backyard again.
That's worse than dogs barking. But anyways, I'd like to take a few moments to bring up diet.
Okay.
Diet. I've
kind of an evil word these days, honestly.
Yeah. And when I say diet, I'm not talking about
crash.
Restriction of calories or anything like that. I'm talking about the diet that probably about 80% of the public is on, which is fast food.
Yes.
Now, I saw somewhere that there's only like 40% of the households in this country literally cook for themselves anymore.
How
is that possible?
100% believe that. My best friend Josh, I'm one of the reasons I'm working out extra hard right now is because I have to go and be in his wedding pictures coming up pretty soon, and I don't want to look like a fat ass in his forever pictures, So, we got a ding dong. So I'm working out really hard about that right now, and I've known him forever. I don't know what it is. He does not sit for a living, for one. He works in a tire shop, so he's on the go all day long. But I don't even know if the dude knows how to cook for himself, for one. Secondly, I know for a fact he just does. Like, I go to his house and there's never a dirty pot or a dirty pan.
Well, that's one way to keep the dishes.
Yeah.
See, in my house, it's a constant battle
Always.
keeping that kitchen clean, because everything that we consume
is pre-packed.
And you know what? The majority of what we consume, we've grown. It comes out of the ground, goes into the pan.
Yeah.
And obviously that, not 100%. You got to go to the store and find the things that you can't grow.
Sure.
Like cattle.
Right. Right. You can't have that in your backyard.
But there are elk and deer running around up in them hills there, which we'll deal with this fall.
That's right.
Organic meat. I know there's a lot of people that don't agree with that, but you can look at the feedlot, or you can look at the lush green pastures and decide where you want yours coming from.
Right.
Let somebody else do your killing for you, or do it yourself.
Right.
That's my choice. But I wanted to bring up the fact that, and I had told you about this. I did a little observation. That's what I do. Is I run these things through my mind and kind of bring them to a logical conclusion. Then I go look.
Yes.
As a way of verifying what I'm thinking, because I don't like to talk about things if I don't have an example of what it is I'm speaking of. And we've all heard the horror stories of what it is they're feeding you,
yes,
and why people don't get that. buy a milkshake and let it sit overnight and look at it. If that doesn't scare the pants off you,
Oh, man.
I don't know what in the world will.
Man.
But I walked into, and I won't even mention the chain, but it was a common hamburger chain. I sat down and I looked around at what people were eating, and I watched them eat. And half of the people that went in there didn't even look at the menu. They already knew what they wanted.
Yeah, they didn't have to look.
Came in, which means they have pretty much traversed the menu.
They've tried everything and found what they wanted. Yeah.
They sat down, and I looked at them, and their skin had kind of a grayish tint to it. Their movements were sluggish. They were hunched over, and all of them overweight, bar none.
Just across the board, not a
Across
single
the board,
person.
there was not a thin man in there,
Wow.
man. And I looked at these people, and they were lethargic, and I thought to myself, this is diabetes getting ready to happen.
Yeah.
This is hypertension. This is heart disease. This is all of these things, if it hasn't already occurred, is going to occur in these people. And the reason I think that occurs, and you made this connection for me, and I started watching the commercials on TV, and I'm going, you know what? You just ain't cool unless you destroy yourself.
Yep.
You know what? If you don't drink that soda pop, you're an outcast.
Yep. Yeah, and it's weird to see the way that they market this, for lack of a better word, garbage. I mean, it literally is. There's nothing to it. It's a bunch of processed wheat, animal fats, and dairy is usually about
sugar and salt.
Sugar and salt.
And those are the delivery systems for the sugar and the salt.
Absolutely.
And the MSG. Yeah.
Absolutely. And some MSG probably thrown in there somewhere.
Probably. But I would say laden.
But I was watching a soft drink commercial, and I'm not going to pick on just one because all of them do it, but I was watching this one particular one, and the entire commercial had nothing to do with what the soft drink tasted like, with what the soft drink was. It was all about
any benefit from drinking it?
Yeah, the benefits of, or
other than social,
right? And or what was even in it. The whole basis of the commercial was what you're doing while you're drinking this thing. How much cooler you're going to become by drinking this thing.
By having this in your hand.
By having this in your hand, and by going and it's creating a culture of you're going to be this hip into it, with it person.
If you drink this, you're going to be a success.
Yeah. Basically, that's what those are some parallels that you can conclude. And if you were to write that down on paper and just kind of hold it up and look at it, you'd be like, "You guys are full of BS, man. What is this?"
And market it to the young.
Yeah, but then you go and you watch it, and you and you read between the lines of what's being portrayed to you, and you're like, "That's exactly the crap that they're shoving right down our face." And it's the same thing with those soft drinks. It's the same thing, and I won't point out which chain he was at, but I will point out he was not at McDonald's. I do know that he was not at McDonald's for this little experiment that he tried. But watch those commercials carefully. If you haven't noticed already, there's not a fat person amongst the bunch. They're always doing something fun. It's always some weird mixed multicultural. Something's happening. And
Xanadu, man.
If they were to take this 15-minute situation that Mike observed and made that their actual campaign, they'd be shut out of business in 10 minutes.
Don't take my word for it. Go do this for yourself.
Yeah, go check it out yourself.
Challenge you.
Yeah.
Go do it for yourself. Spend a little time thinking it through, and then go down and just sit and watch.
Yeah.
And you'll shake your head and get up and leave because it's ugly to look at. I saw a commercial last night. They got the old song, "All by myself." This woman's falling on her knees in the street, and it's raining, and this is like this music video going. It's a hamburger, for Christ's sakes.
Yeah.
It's a hamburger, and it ain't even a good hamburger. Now here's the thing. I wonder how much they spent on that commercial, and why do they have to spend that much?
First of all, I could probably tell you they probably spent somewhere between $4 and $6 million to produce it. It probably cost them around $1 million to run it per week, or possibly sorry, not per week. It's got to be about around $1 million to run that per day.
But here's a $10,000 question: why do they do it?
because it works. Obviously,
And
people are coming in for their crappy
march-
hamburgers.
Yep, people
Yeah.
march down there and they become the people that I just explained.
Mm-hmm.
Don't take my word for it. Go look for yourself.
Now, and so this another thing that I think we can start getting into as the weeks start to wear on, and it's not something that we have the really even time to get into anymore. But I was talking with a coworker the other day, and she was saying that she's so confused by you go to the supermarket, you grab something off the shelf, flip it over, and try to start reading the label, and you try to figure out what those hieroglyphics mean. Honestly, I think that half of that stuff is put on there just to confuse you, and if it doesn't confuse you, it's put on there to disgust you. And thirdly, I just think that there's a general culture of just going and purchasing things that you have no idea where that all originated from. There's no way of knowing what you're actually putting into your mouth as that finished product. So I have a little thing that I suggested to her. I said, I have 3 things to tell you. I said, first of all, if it comes in a package, if it's prepackaged and has a label, probably not good for you in the first place, most likely. Not always 100% true, because things that are good for you also have labels on them. But okay, so we'll say 80% of the things that has a label, probably not good for you. Secondly, if it's got more than 6 to 8 ingredients in it, probably not good for you. And thirdly, if you can't pronounce even one of the things that's in those ingredients, probably should put that back. So between those 3 things, that's a good start or a good step in the right direction there.
But it's so difficult. They've spent so many years romancing us.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? They come up with the supermarket with the shelves and the convenience and all you got to do is get. You know what? You don't have to go home and cook. You can just put this in your microwave and here's this big wonderful dinner.
Yep.
But it ain't so wonderful.
No, there's nothing wonderful about it at all. And that's one thing that when I started making my changes is I stopped grabbing those easy, convenient, for lack of better word or for lack of better description, I stopped grabbing the hamburger helpers and I stopped grabbing the helper meals and the ready to go meals.
And I know what people are thinking too, but that's good. Of course it's good.
Right.
You know what? They mix this stuff up and go, that's going to taste one. That's going to make that orgasmic boom.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
that
good.
Pow of flavor.
That's what they want.
Yep.
But it's not nourishing your body.
No. There's nothing nourishing about it,
putting
honestly.
a lump in your belly and it's filling your system full of stuff that's bad for you.
So,
because at that point, there's no other conclusion to come to other than I'm eating for pleasure.
Sure.
Not nourishing my body.
Now, this is something that you're going to have to research for yourself and not take our word on. This is something that we've come to the conclusion on and decided for ourselves. But honestly, do some research for you. Do yourself a favor and don't do it via Wikipedia, for Christ's sakes. That's not where you get answers from. But do go on the internet and look around, or go to the library or wherever you get your information and look around. 90% of, and this is a statistic I made up in my head, but a good portion of the food that you eat will all turn into sugar in your body once you consume it.
It's your body's job is to make fuel out of what you eat.
Yeah, and
if you don't use up all the fuel, it's starving.
And so one thing that I'm starting to learn, and I'd like to have my sister on here pretty soon, because she's been doing food-related research literally for the last 15 years. She's tried to pin down what it is our body is needing for fuel and what food combinations it is that you can combine together to put into your face and turn it into that healthy fuel for yourself, so your body's just not making a crap ton of glucose, which then causes your body to create insulin, which causes it to create too much insulin. And
makes this organ react to help this organ, which has to react to shut down that organ, which has to...
And then diabetes.
Yeah, rather than things just flowing through in a natural course.
So one thing that she has found out is that not like a vast majority of everything we have that's ready to eat turns into sugar in your body, and then when your body gets its fill of said sugar, it doesn't know what to do with it, and so it's sitting here in we'll call it the processing plant, for lack of a better word. Obviously, there's not a factory down in your guts, but the body's down in there, and it's got this excess store of energy, and it's sitting there going, okay, well, it can't really go any more that direction, and it can't be used here because that's not what this is for. I have this excess. What am I going to do? I'm going to create a new fat cell and store it in there. So your body's
running out of boxes.
Yeah, we're running out of boxes. Let's make a new one.
More boxes.
Somebody, hey, get that box department online and get us about 500 new ones. So your body goes and creates a new fat cell that, by the way, will never, ever, ever be uncreated. It can only shrink.
Only be emptied.
It can only be emptied out. It can only be turned upside down and emptied, but it won't be thrown out or recycled. So keep in mind that you are doing this to yourself, which is diabolically awful and evil, because I look at myself in the mirror and I'm like, oh, I'm so disappointed with myself. And then I'm like,
hard to undo.
Yes, because you have to sit there and reconcile with yourself. Why am I so upset with myself? Because I look the way I look because I did this to myself. I let my body do this to myself.
Well, hold on just a minute, though. The reason that this happened to a lot of people is because they don't understand that they've been caught in this trap.
Yeah.
They're consuming things that they are designed to consume by marketers. Mm-hmm. And it looks good to them.
Sure.
It tastes good to them. Must be good.
Sure.
No.
Yeah.
No. You got to look back at when I would say, what about the kind of diet we had in the 50s and the 40s?
Sure, yeah.
Before heart disease and diabetes and hypertension and all this other gauntlet of chronic disease reared its ugly head.
Mm-hmm.
People were cooking their own foods. They were grown on local farms.
Mm-hmm.
The meats were raised on local farms. It's not that way anymore.
Well, it's weird to go to the supermarket in the dead of winter and get ripe strawberries. That right there tells you we have something weird going on with our food sources. Mm-hmm. You should not be able to go in the dead of winter, as much as you want one, you should not be able to go and get a nice, plump, ripe strawberry in the middle of winter.
You know what I like about summer?
What's that?
Farmer's market.
Farmer's market, yeah.
Farmer's market rocks. You go down there and you got all these people with these big, beautiful, ripe fruits and vegetables that they grew themselves, and you can look at them and go, hey, how'd you grow this? Oh, well, I did this and did that and did that. And you know what it is.
Yeah.
And they're telling you what it is, and they're giving you a bargain rate on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is organic stuff.
Yeah.
Go, take this to Safeway and find something tagged organic that looks like it and see what they want for it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and this is ripened
on the vine. Okay,
and it tastes wonderful.
So we're approaching an hour long intro show, but before we get out of here, I've got to say this goes along perfectly with what we're talking about right this second. You used to be an over the road truck driver. You used to see how things were quote unquote ripened. Give us the 5-second version of how things are ripened for us, Mike.
I hauled, we called it hauling garbage, which meant vegetables.
Right.
You know, that's trucker slang for produce.
Okay.
And a lot of the times they would send us down to Nogales, which is on the U.S.-Mexican border. I'm sure people have heard of Nogales. Mm-hmm. And there's this mass complex of warehouses which are set up for vegetables that come across the border. Now, I was amazed to learn the first time I went down there. We went in there and we're looking around, and there are these huge vaults with these huge doors. And they would open the doors and pull out these racks, right, of pallets full of, my first one was tomatoes. Mm-hmm. And they brought these tomatoes out and they started loading the truck. Well, all these tomatoes were green. Mm-hmm. And I'm going, whoa, we're hauling green tomatoes? Still naive at that point, yes. And the guy explained to me, he goes, you know, you ever walk into a supermarket and you go through the produce department, right? And I says, yeah. He goes, it doesn't smell like vegetables, does it? But every produce department smells the same.
Yeah.
I says, yeah, I never thought about it, but yeah, that's true. He goes, that's the gas. These vegetables are gassing out. We put them in there and we stop the ripening process by taking out all the air, turning off all the light, and flooding the atmosphere with gas.
What gas specifically?
I've
I think
My memory isn't real good, but I think it's argon.
You told me that's what you told me too. It was argon?
And they flood these chambers with this gas, and he tells me we can keep these things for months in here in this state. He goes, now we load them on your truck. You open it in a reefer truck. You got a vent in the front and a vent in the back, so you get a breeze goes through here. He goes, you go for 8 hours and you open that front vent. You go for another 8 hours and then you open the back vent. And then the night before you deliver, I want you to open the back doors for 2 hours. Okay, I can do that.
Yeah.
When it got to the point to where I opened those back doors, the tomatoes weren't still green, but they weren't still red. They were like kind of half
They're
ripe.
turning.
When I left the doors open for about 2 hours, I didn't really see much of a change. Close it, but I opened them up in the morning. By God, those tomatoes are ripe.
That is the craziest thing I've ever heard.
Backed it up to the supermarket, and they rolled them off and stacked them in the produce department. And I found out that they do this with just about. Well, okay, people, walk into the supermarket in January. Mm-hmm. They got ripe peaches.
Yeah. They have ripe
peaches. Peaches aren't ripe in January.
Peaches aren't ripe right now.
Ask yourself, how do they get those from, I don't know where, Honduras?
Probably.
Shipped up to here, stored until they can get them distributed, and then still have them on the supermarket shelf.
And ripe right at the right time.
Now, here's the big question. What kind of nutrients are left in that?
Probably not much. And I'm pretty sure that argon is not harmful to us, but why put anything into us that isn't necessary?
Well, here, you know what? They gas out, okay? The chances of there being much argon gas in there by the time you get it to your
digestive system.
Well, yeah, it's probably gone.
Yeah.
But what you're eating is something that smells like a peach, looks like a peach, probably doesn't taste much like a peach, but simulated. It's a peach simulation.
Right. There's no nutrients left in it.
Yes, what the nourishing
sugars left
power
in it. Yeah.
that it has for your body is just about negated by the process it went through.
Yeah.
Don't take my word for it. Look it up for yourself.
Yeah. But do keep in mind that he did witness that firsthand by delivering them.
Next week we'll talk about feedlots.
Oh, good. Oh, good. So thank you guys for tuning in to this first episode. I didn't expect it to go as long as it did, but we did right on the nose of an hour first show. So I think this will go anywhere between about 45 minutes to an hour, depending on how chatty we get with our guest or how chatty we get with the subject matter we're covering. So just keep in mind that we'll be covering different things every week. Sometimes it will be similar. It might be a follow-up to what we were talking about last week. Also, we wanted to point out that if ever we mention something and we think that we have it right and then we find out that we aren't right, we will come on as soon as we find out that we're not right. It could even be 6 weeks removed. But if we have said something on here and you are able to correct us and we can find out that that's actually the case and we actually misstated something, we'll come back on here and we're going to start a segment towards the end of the show, I think, and we'll come on and we'll just say something along the lines of that we screwed up, and we'll give you what we said was wrong, and then we'll give you the correct information as well. So we want to make sure that we're not putting out the idea that we know everything. That, for God's sakes, that is the last thing that we want everybody to think. We're here to help
spread the word.
Help spread the word.
Help you spread the word.
Yeah, we're your international liaisons here, folks.
Yeah.
And sometimes liaisons sometimes liaisons get it wrong. So I just wanted to let you know, if you think that you know something more than us, get a hold of us at rkfitnesshour@gmail.com. Go to facebook.com/Rosewater Kinetics, right? Yeah. Or is it just RK? I think it's Rosewater Kinetics. Go to facebook.com and search for Rosewater Kinetics. You can find.
If you look, you'll find it.
You'll find us on there. There's 212 strong of us so far out there on the Facebooks. So go find us out there. There's more to be had at the Time Spent Poorly Podcast Network. That's also on the Facebook. So go to facebook.com/Time Spent Poorly. We have comedy. We have video games. We have a movie podcast that goes on. We have all kinds of stuff going on at Time Spent Poorly. And this is the Rosewater Kinetics Fitness Hour, brought to you by Time Spent Poorly Podcast Network. My My name is Nathan Betts. This is Mike Romiski, and thank you guys for tuning in so much. And this is just the first of many to continue on.
And just real quickly,
yeah.
If there's something you want to hear or you want to know about, ship us an email, get a hold of us on the Facebook, something, and we will research it for you.
And if you feel like you would be a good fit or a good guest for this show, if you have something that you have that you want to talk about, ship us an email and we'll contact you and we'll go back and forth. And if there's something that you want to promote, like Melody got a chance to do, by the way, go to evilmonkeyent.com. That's evil, MUNKEYENT.com, and you can get yourself your own mace.
I recommend it.
I want one. I'm going to get one. So thank you to Melody for being a guest, and from now until the next time we talk to you guys, be good to you and yours.
And eat the right stuff.
We're out.